What's going on, everybody? Beretta with another Beretta's Reviews, and today's video is going to be on Lightyear. Yes, that is right. We just saw it, the brand new Pixar movie from the Toy Story animated series, this time being the film that got Andy into watching and loving Buzz Lightyear. With that being said, first off, I think we should go into the cast. So, obviously, Chris Evans is Buzz Lightyear, did amazing. Loved it. We had Taika Waititi, Mo Morrison, which in my opinion, once again, I'm not super huge on the laughing the whole time. I mean, I understand it's a child's, kids to teen movie. It's Pixar, obviously. It was good, but once again, it was the Taika Waititi kind of humor, which in my opinion, just not great. All I could think of the whole time was like the physical character looked like him, and I felt like it was Korg the whole time. So I felt like Korg was playing a video game as this character. James Brolin was Buzz Lightyear, aka Zurg, who was pretty much Buzz from 50 years in the future. Keke Palmer, Izzy Hawthorne, which was the granddaughter of oh wow, I'm blanking out really hard right now. Hawthorne's granddaughter, Alicia. Duh. Then we had Socks, played by Peter Son, who honestly was my favorite. Pretty much took the show. Was essentially the BB-8 from Star Wars, the Baby Yoda or Grogu from Star Wars. Once again, just the character that lightened up, was great, was funny, was comedic relief, but at the same time wasn't a tryhard because he was a robot. Then you had Diaz Efrain Ramirez, and you had Dale Solis as Darby Steele. Then you had other characters like Mary Lewis played Ivan, and then Burnside was Isaiah Whitlock, and then Bill Hader was Featherham Hamstand, which was the cadet at the beginning of the film. With that being said, let's break into this. Obviously, I love the fact that this film was it felt really like Halo meets Gears of War meets Star Wars. I love the way it would feel. The armor reminded me of Gears of War. It reminded me of the Cogs getting their armor. Starts off, obviously the space pods open up. They're all in Cairo sleep, which literally reminds me of Halo. In Halo 1, Combat Evolved, when you come up and the ship or the pod opens and it releases essentially Buzz Lightyear, or aka Master Chief at that point. Did have a lot of hints like to past things, like Buzz Lightyear actually did say, "You're mocking me, aren't you?" Which I can't remember which one it was from, but obviously it was Woody talking to Buzz at that point. It kept feeling like a lot of this was using other things. Obviously Disney was going in and they were using, Star Wars screams, and they had the bugs sounded actually like raptors to me. It was weird. I kept hearing that noise they make. So, it was really, it felt like a lot of other things were being used or hints at, or essentially cameos to other movies. Then you go, obviously Buzz. At the beginning of the film, we learned that the whole thing is Buzz Lightyear is really this selfish kind of character. Not selfish in the sense of he only cares about himself, but when it comes to his work. So he, obviously, like when it came to certain characters like Alicia and all these other characters, he loved Alicia. She was his best friend, blah, blah. But it was more of the fact that he was right. He felt right. He was the space commander. He was Buzz Lightyear, which then they were taking the ship up, or as he called it, I believe it was the turnip, and they hit a rock and it left them stranded on this planet for a year. So after that, they end up start testing hyperspeed, obviously to get off the planet. When they start doing that, they realize that at the first time it was 4 years, 2 months, and 3 days actually went by, or time dilation, aged minutes when they aged years. So he obviously came back in the sense of what felt like minutes, and it would age them 4 years every time he would do this. And then I liked that they did do the food where he had a box. It looked like a box of pizza, but it was actually meatloaf. And, he would crack it and then it would form. It kind of reminded me of Rey in The Force Awakens where, she'd put the food in the thing and grow up and it was like a muffin. Then you go to proceed that this failed 50 times jumping hyperspace is kind of what they said. That 50 times was pretty crazy because, obviously you saw as every time he went, Alicia would get a little bit older and a little bit older and a little bit older. And eventually she gave him Socks, who she would record conversations with saying, "Sorry, my best friend, I'm sorry, I'm about to leave you." And then she dies, obviously showing Izzy on her lap when she says, "What do you want to be?" She says, "I want to be a space cadet or a space ranger." She says, "Like Buzz?" She says, "No, like you, Grandma." And then obviously after that, that was her last time. Buzz is sad. I have my notes on the side, so, as always. And then we figure out that throughout this whole time, Buzz essentially went 62 years, 7 months, and 5 days. And then Socks discovered the results to be able to pass hyperspeed. So anyways, though, it's crazy because once they do that, they pass all this time and they take the ship again. Well, when they land, the planet kind of reminded me of Dagobah. It was pretty cool. It had a really nod to Star Warsy where he lands, he hops out of the pod. It's really dark and mischievous all around, and he looks around. At that point, he comes into contact with Izzy, which is Alicia's granddaughter. She's fooling, her full cog armor. And then, it goes on and we meet Morrison, who wanted to volunteer for this. So Morrison didn't know what he was getting himself into. Morrison was obviously Taika Waititi's character. And then it went on to know, I can't remember her name, but the older lady, I think it was Darby Steele. Darby was, had a life sentence essentially, and it would cut down her sentences the more she helped. So she essentially could take 3 things and make a bomb out of any of them, or explosive. We don't exactly know why she went to prison, but she's doing her time. Then we had the alien bugs that really felt like, it felt like an invasion. It felt like the movie Aliens. There were all these pods in there and they went through, and then they started breaking out of the eggs. And I just thought it was cool. The way that they adapted this whole movie, it really felt like Buzz Lightyear meets Star Wars, meets Gears of War, meets Halo, meets Alien. I would say it was a space opera / horror film, in a sense, if that makes sense, for a cartoon. Then, once they're up in space, obviously Buzz Lightyear meets Future Buzz, and then we see Future Socks, and we realize that Zurg was actually Buzz for 50 years in the future, who essentially wants to create the way to go back in time, kind of how Buzz discovered we can go forward in time. So he wants to go back, but then our normal Buzz realizes no, he doesn't want to erase Alicia's future, like how she's going to get married and how she has a granddaughter and all these other things and how she lived a full life. Essentially, throughout the story, Buzz becomes less selfish and becomes more of a team player and more of a family bonding kind of character. So on and so forth, more action. Obviously, there was a lot of action in this movie. I really liked it. I really liked that there was nothing really slow. There was a couple here and there talking points, but for the most part, it was a fast-paced movie, and I loved it. We did get to see towards the end where he actually used that crystal to shoot it with his laser, because he attached something to his gun. So obviously the famous laser gun that he had, where he uses his wings, they pop up, he shoots up, and he kills Zurg. Then he starts using the wings and he's flying. We get the famous, where he's flying forward, and it kind of shows it in Toy Story 1. And then the quirky moment, you would say, Morrison had a pen. The whole time he had a pen. It was right here, and it kept foreshadowing there was going to be some use to that pen. The pen ended up, I can't remember. I think it blew up the mine. He popped the pen. Oh yeah, because they said, we need something small. It's when they're flying the ship and they're coming down. He takes the pen and he pops it down, and it opens up the spot for the emergency landing. And then he thinks he's the engineer. I don't know. I mean, it was good. And then at the very end, they land down, everybody's circling them, and Burnside is like, hey, you guys could be in trouble. I could throw you in jail forever, but instead, I'm going to make you a space commander. To which then at the end, Bud says, I already have my team. This is my family, a sense. They all get promoted. You have Darby, who essentially is no longer a convict. Then you have Izzy, Buzz, and Mo, the squad, obviously with Socks as well. And then they get that kind of view where it shows them all walking out like any other movie where they're going to their ships to fight. Great movie, honestly. You can't hate on it. I have very few complaints. Even the whole controversial moment people were talking about was not controversial. I don't know why people would have to complain, and that's honestly probably why this is suffering at the box office. As I have heard from certain people aren't going to the movies because of that scene, which was literally, I'm not exaggerating to you, 1/4 of a second. My girlfriend and me were watching. I said, did you see it? And she said, no, I didn't even see it. I was looking at the rest of the scene. She was, because there was so much going on in that scene, and it wasn't a big deal. So I don't know what people are crying about, honestly. Then we had 3 credit scenes, which, obviously the first one is Burnside sitting there, and a bug goes to fly and it hits the laser, and he says something on the lines of laser shield. That's it. Longest credits of my life. Obviously animated film, so they're gonna have a lot more credits, but it felt so long. Next one, the robot. At the beginning of the movie, he was explaining like all these parts on like which way you should go and if you make a left and make a right and how he's messing up. Continues that. The end of that one. I think the robot was voiced by Chris Evans also. It too sounded like. And then the third credit scenes, which actually got us to think, if this movie does well, we'll have a sequel. Pretty much Zurg is falling through space and, you know, the blown up ship and the lights turn on, or his eyes, hinting at a sequel. For me, I don't know how they would do a sequel because obviously Andy got into Buzz Lightyear from this film, and it would be a little weird because then they'd have to go on and explain that Zurg wasn't Buzz Lightyear's father, like in the second one, that it's actually Buzz again. So I don't know. I don't really know how they're going to tie this in or how they're going to explain this. Obviously, it's just created, you know, essentially the look of the toy. It's not actually the toy. But I mean, I'm totally down for round 2 of seeing this. It feels very fast for an hour and 45. I know it's not very long, but if you think about it, that's the same length of Love and Thunder and pretty much Multiverse of Madness. I'm definitely down for more. Once again, like I said, I loved the cast. I loved everything about this movie. The visuals were amazing. If I had to rate it, people are saying this is the best movie possible, and I'm gonna say no, it's not. It's like an 8 out of 10. It's good. It's fun. It's definitely something I'm gonna bring my daughter to watch probably in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought if you guys saw this movie. Did you guys like it? Did you not like it? What did you not like? And what did you love about it? As always, I'm Beretta. Hope you enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll catch you all in the next review.